You're watching Explore Tulsa.
The reason they call me Doc Geiger is I'm a retired mouth mechanic. I was a dentist in Tulsa for 20 years. Retired and became a fisherman, Doc. So the people down at Okiebug, I took them all out fishing and made friends with them and showed them I knew what I was doing. And somebody would come in and ask, who do you need to hire to take us out and go get some fish? Then go pull out one of my cards and hand it out and say, you need to go with this guy. You'll catch fish and you'll have fun. So they named me Doc Geiger. In 1954, I started fishing. My dad would take me over to the Grand River where I've been fishing last couple of weeks. And we would put in at Shoto Bend and go up to the low water dam. And he'd get fish on and he'd hand the rod over to me and I'd be doing this deal here. And you know, I'd lose most of them. But that's how I got hooked on fishing, pardon the pun. It was in 1954. On white bass, we were catching white bass on the spring spawning run in April. And that's still my favorite thing to do, even though I get to catch all kinds of big fish all the rest of the year. I love the spawning runs. I fish a couple hundred days a year, and I really enjoy taking people out and introducing them to fishing, particularly children and women that have never fished but want to get in a good fishing experience. So I do a lot of that. I take a lot of families out now. It's just a natural being a guide because I've got so much experience. I've got experience on fisheries all through northeastern Oklahoma. So year round, I can always put somebody on fish, all the way from Sooner Lake to Broken Bow Lake. Yeah, I guided for quite a few years. And then I just had people keep encouraging me. Doc, you're so wacky, you'd be great on TV if you just make a TV show. Well, so finally I had some people insist, and they said, we'll sponsor you, and insist that I start doing TV, so away we went.
He's got the cure, it's true, my friend, just call the doctor. The doc is in. When you need a healing, just read it in.
Well, we did it for 5.5 years. We ran in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa, and it was a roaring success. At one time, we checked out our ratings, and we had about 100,000 people throughout Oklahoma watching that show weekly. And then the economy went south, and advertising dried it up for us. And my wife didn't appreciate me trying to subsidize the show out of our savings, so we had to shut it down. The very first show I ever did was with Kathy Keating. And I was out at a lake out east of Tulsa. It was funny. I had those fish dialed in. I knew every one of them by name out in this 3-acre lake. And this is in November. And right after Thanksgiving is when we had this show scheduled to tape. A cold front came in and a snowstorm. So the ground was covered in snow in the background. And we went out there and we did a beautiful show. And you know how many fish we caught? None. How many bites we got? None. And it still made a terrific show because we just had so much fun interacting. Kathy, how did you get into fishing? And she'd tell me how she got into fishing, how important her grandpa was up at Grand Lake and the like. And then she'd ask me about some of my experiences. And then she'd ask me about my love for poetry. I write a lot of poetry, and so I'd quote her a poem, and we just went back and forth and back and forth. I love to write poetry, but it's really difficult for me to memorize something that I've actually written. The only poem that I've ever memorized that I personally wrote was a poem I entitled On Friendship, and it goes like this. There are those who pass like ships in the night, who greet for a moment, then sail out of sight. With never a backwards glance of regret, folks we know briefly, then soon we forget. Then there are those folks who sail together through calm waters and through stormy weather, loving each other in joy and in strife. Those are the people who give meaning to life. That's the only one I've ever memorized. Some of them are so difficult to learn, I just never memorized them.